BrainStain.
that tune might be copyright.
Well, we're BrainStain.
What is it? It totally sounds familiar, but I can't think of what it is.
I don't know. It just feels like a cartoon, not a cartoon show, but just a show that you watched when you were a kid.
I feel like it's like almost like a insurance company.
Maybe.
I mean, the name does
like State Farm
put together. Yeah, it almost has like a State Farm-y feel.
We are not sponsored by State Farm.
We are not.
Yeah, dude.
I don't even have State Farm.
Yeah.
I know. Me either.
I have Giggity Geico.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are sponsored by Geico.
Yeah, totes.
Taking
Living the
my
high
money.
life.
Oh, waste of money.
Living the high life at Geico.
Yeah, with that Geico money and those perks.
All right, and on to the show.
Yeah, today, so Steam kind of briefly announced this thing called Lab. And it's a lot of speculation right now, but it sounds like it's going to be kind of like their launch title, which is like not a game exactly, but they call it experiments. So they call it a compilation of VR experiments. And we're going to hear more about it at GGC, but so far people are kind of speculating. They kind of think it's like almost like the Wii Sports, in not necessarily sports, but something that can address like that kind of same issue where it's like, it's not a tech demo, but it's also not a tech demo.
Like it's something you actually play.
Like it's something you play and it's actually like a finished piece, but it allows you to play with it and experience all there is to experience.
It's not an incomplete thing.
Exactly. And it's just an introduction to room scale VR, I think, largely, is what it's going to be.
So it's just mini demos, essentially?
That's what it sounds. That's they call it a compilation of VR experiments, and so it sounds like it's several things rather than just one big. And like it's not a traditional game. It's not like a narrative. I don't think, but I've heard people say, and I agree that I hope it ends up being very much like in their world. In the way that like the Portal VR demo thing with Atlas, the Portal robot guy. Like it's something like that, but a lot of those types of experiments.
Yeah. Well, what is it different than that game that you can build things? Like you can build what is it called? Like all these different stages, and then you get to like cut it down. You saw that.
Oh, where you build funny gadgets?
Yeah. You build
fantastic contraptions.
Yeah. That's it.
That one is very that's like certain game genre. There's a game that's out currently, and it's called Besieged, and basically you build like little catapults and things, and you try to destroy buildings and things like that.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
And in Fantastic Contraptions is kind of a VR version of that same type of gameplay where you're just building small little vehicles with a goal.
Without all the carnage of Besieged.
Yeah, you're not trying to destroy things.
You're not killing little people, all the time, tiny little cute people.
You're trying to get like a purple blob back to the rest of its purple blob family.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing in that game. But that game also will really show you some of the capabilities of what room scale VR is all about. But it's not its intent.
Yeah. So the lab is just a mini.
It sounds.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it sounds like to me like a demo of just things that you could experience if you wanted to invest in.
Think of the PlayStation demo disc. I don't know.
I think,
no, those are actual. Yeah. Well, that's more like full games, but yeah, it's like the way that kind of like propped up that product when it came out. It was they're trying to kind of have the same similar effect.
I'm hoping it's more like the Wii Sports.
Yeah.
You know how Wii Sports is a game.
Yeah.
But it's a bunch of little games.
Yeah.
So you would buy the lab?
Well, Lab's free.
Okay.
They've said it. They've mentioned that it's going to be free to anybody. So if you have a Vive, you'll have access to it. So that's awesome. I mean, so I don't have to spend money or nothing.
Yeah, that's sweet.
It's just another cool thing. So, so we're going to find out more at GDC coming up here.
Right on.
And I'm excited about that. Do you guys see the demo of the realistic gun simulation?
The one that guy did.
He has like shotguns.
He did that in Unity, didn't he?
I think he did use Unity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you watch the video, it's crazy to me that one guy built that stuff. You know,
and like he said, he's had the Vive for like 10 days or something.
That's so crazy.
It's really cool. It's really impressive. Well, yeah, some people can pull off in such a short amount of time because it looks quite nice. Like honestly, I didn't even know I wanted a gun simulator in that way. Like you actually load all the bullets into each round. Like you can catch the casings as they fly out after you fire it. You know, it's just like it looks. And now there's like grenades where you pull the pin, and you can either pull the pin and throw it where the handle thing releases on its own, or you can like pull the pin, release the handle, and hold on to it, and you can see that it starts beeping to let you know like beep. Beep, 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 you know, and you can throw it and like that kind of stuff. Like grenades, like it seemed like such an obvious thing to go with, but a lot of these other shooter games don't have grenades, so I'm excited to see how it feels, you know. Just hopefully you don't throw your controller.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
There's a
lot of people are going to let go of them, though, and it's going to be like dangling in the middle of the gameplay. Just make sure, oh, shit.
We're going to have to make sure to use those, at least for the first week as we get comfortable with
remember when the Wii did that? People were throwing their controllers into TVs because they were playing, I think, tennis or something, or maybe even golfing.
That's more dangerous because at least you can't throw this into your head-mounted display, you know, your VR headset. Yeah. So you can still throw it on your computer screen or your wall.
You just hit your computer, damage it.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Oh, the Wii. That was, we all wanted that one.
The great disappointment.
We really wanted that one to work. It was fun times though. Everyone had fun bowling.
I liked Wii Sports for sure. I think Wii Tennis was probably my favorite actually. And so VR tennis, man, I'm excited about that.
Honestly, I was just thinking about going bowling with my friends the other night, and dude, imagine once we get the VR or the Vive that we could just go bowling right here, right now.
I know.
You go bowling at 2 a.m. You can go bowling at 1 a.m.
It's weird because actually my family's gonna be coming to town in May, like late May or something, and they're going to Disneyland, so I'm gonna be joining them. Yeah. And I'm excited to see my family, of course, but like Disneyland at this point, like I'm like, well, I'm gonna have my Vive at that point, and I don't really think I really want to go to Disneyland. Yeah, because I mean Disneyland's fun. I've been there a lot, obviously, throughout my life, but it's just
get a 360 camera and take it on all the rides, and
and I can just live it forever, whenever I want.
Yeah, then you can just go to Disneyland whenever you want. Same thing.
Basically.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
With all the lines,
sneak a 360 camera in, and just record the rides.
I ride all the rides backwards because I can. This is what it looks like from backwards.
I would like a really high. I mean, that'd be something cool. I mean, I know Disney would not do it because they want people to go to their parks.
Sure.
But if they ever decide to shut their parks down for some reason, if the just attendance goes or something, they probably never will happen. But if it did, it would be cool if they were able to if they did like a weird almost a photogrammetry of their whole rides and released them digitally. Because Pirates of the Caribbean is a fun little experience. I mean, I think it's actually still one of my favorite rides at Disneyland because the roller coasters and stuff are fun, but they're not like extreme, and so they're not even like that kind of fun. They're more like, yeah, these are comfortable roller coasters. I don't get jerked around too much, Yeah. But they're not like. But so it's like rides like thematic rides like Pirates of the Caribbean are ones that you can't experience anywhere else. But VR is going to kind of take that a lot, Because even that little demo, I don't know what it was. It was like a weird, you get on like a little canoe and you go down to water and there's like a big giant head and it's like there's like real footage of real people, but it's like, remember we played it? It's like you get into a canoe.
Oh right, yeah.
I can't remember what it's called unfortunately, but it was very much like a little short VR theater experience.
Yeah,
that you went through. In a lot of the same way that Pirates of the Caribbean is like you sit down and it's like this passive like ooh la, look at these cool little effects and cool little characters. I guess there's a kind of a story being told.
And with the way that Disneyland has done things like Captain EO and the other kind of Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and other stuff like that, I could see them kind of like stepping into the VR arena a little bit, dipping their toe in it, and offering things that maybe it doesn't, something that doesn't necessarily compete with their it's just something they let people do, like a Disney sponsored VR experience, and they just, because it's access to people, and they have their properties, it could be a Frozen thing, and all of a sudden all these little girls want to put on a VR helmet and hang out with
absolutely,
in the Frozen movie.
That'd be so smart.
To me, if let's say Disney does that, where's that platform that they're going to sell through? I mean, you guys, Amazon's looking to be a VR platform, but where would Disney sell that through? Just would they make their own
Disney's
platform?
obviously Disney is huge and they own a lot of, they might own they have plenty of distribution abilities, I'm sure, on their own. But I wouldn't be surprised if they opened up their own like Disney experience VR thing.
They sell movies on Netflix and Amazon today. Why wouldn't they sell them there?
No, I agree. I think
it's
they
the same
probably
place
would
they
just
sell all
jump
their
on
movies.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Where do, like, because Disney makes video games and whatnot. I mean, they might not make them directly, but they at least hire studios to make them. And do they, like, where do you buy Disney? I mean, I haven't bought a Disney game, like, ever, so I don't even know where you get those. Because, like, if you can buy them on Steam or something, I could see maybe Disney's just not interested in opening up in that market, and so they'll still make content, but maybe release it through other people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I see Disney doing a lot of collaborations. I mean, they're doing a collaboration with Vans shoes, and Vans clothing. They're just everywhere.
That's true. They probably do have good business relationships with different people. I mean, they're huge, and people would be happy to work with them, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like, I mean, without bringing up the list, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they own a big name video company that we've heard, game company that we've heard of before. Yeah. But they own so many companies. And
honestly, if they wanted to, they have a Disney store. They could straight up be like, buy your VR experiences here. I mean, and again, like, I don't really mind software platforms.
Disney VR. Disney VR.
It's going to happen.
It's there, dude.
We just made it happen.
I know. I mean, if it didn't...
It probably happened, like, years ago, but yeah, we totally made it happen.
I know there's a thing called, like, Disney kind of creative labs or something. I can't remember what the exact name is, and they do experiment with a lot of new tech. Actually, at Disneyland, they had that big place where it's like the future world, and like you go in and you get to see all this like tech that's very like cutting edge and stuff.
Yeah,
and they would include things like any kinds of, like, I'm not sure exactly if it was VR, but they had these things that were like rooms where all the walls were projected with an image, and so when you were in there, all you saw was like a continual image all around you, and it reacted to you because it had like cameras and sensors. But it wasn't exactly VR. It still kind of required you to go to some space, which I hope Disney doesn't try to keep on forcing you to go to them in order to have cool experiences. Because I don't want to travel. I don't want to go to Disneyland.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know.
You're immediately making me think of like, how long will the theme park last? And I know people will immediately like just be like forever. Mm-hmm. But if you really got to think about it, of course they can keep like refreshing it. But already, like you look at the way the internet has changed the culture, a whole generation of kids.
And especially if VR arcades like ever become a thing, that'll definitely replace theme parks, because you could jam, several, like 100 of these things inside of a big warehouse that doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be spectacular, and you just go there and try your different VR experiences.
Yeah, I totally agree, because right now, what the headset that we have versus actually going on a roller coaster, obviously you don't have that feeling of the roller coaster. Yeah. But once we make those chairs, once we make the rigs,
an actual 360 spinning chair.
I mean, all you have to do is just make one chair or two, like a little.
People can be all in their own timelines. You can just get on whenever you want.
Exactly. Once you make that, which isn't that hard, I mean, there's definitely people out there making that.
A room full of 360 chairs.
Yeah,
I mean, you go to arcades, and granted, the stuff's kind of... I mean, arcades are underfunded at this point because they're just not a huge market.
It's different,
but if it ever changes, if VR can change that, and they get more money in...
So much more money.
Some of the cool rides in arcades are actually pretty cool. Like, they actually like legit movement and things, but they're just rare, and there's like, $5
right,
to go.
and the game... And the software deployed on them, specifically the games, are odd because how specialized they have to be.
Yeah, because it's not a home experience. They didn't make a bunch of money by making a game that works in home experiences, then also works with this huge motion simulator.
VR is pushing development into a bigger, wider net across a lot of development studios, and you can have this overlap of an experience that's kind of made for home, but you're gonna have some people really pushing already. They're pushing for these. What was that place called? The Void.
The Void.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's got a better backbone already than like the custom games that we've seen in the arcades in the past.
Yeah,
because the end result is so awesome. I mean, for an arcade that's deployed out, across the country, it's just like it gets. you can only do so good. You can only shake a chair around so much with a screen in front of you.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's the screen. Like I've gone to those motion simulator things where you sit in this car and it moves a bunch, but there's a big screen in front of you.
Yeah.
It's not even a little bit believable or immersive. It's like it's such bullshit. It's like you're just like kind of going like, oh, I guess it's kind of cool.
It's just a little dark. And
exactly. But like the screen's it's flat.
Yeah,
you know, I don't have any depth. I know I'm in a box.
And here's the thing: it's like when you go to Laser Quest or wherever you go to, do some laser tag, you get to only battle those 20 people in the room. Now you could essentially battle coast to coast or even worldwide.
Yeah, these arcades can be connected in big webs.
Yeah, you could be like Team California versus Texas, and you're just all of a sudden linking up against people in Texas, and you're just like, oh, kill them,
That's actually pretty cool. I never thought about multiplayer like in different areas.
Yeah, because now you're on a computer.
Yeah,
and
that's the incentive for the game to be backed by a bigger studio, to be developed more like thoroughly and not as a weird niche one-off like previous arcade games have been. Like, because they'll have the incentive to push their name or their studio or their intellectual property behind it and try and create a multiplayer kind of fan base that wants to play each other or something like that. But you got to go to your local warehouse or whatever to gear up, or at least you got to have a 360 chair at home or some junk like that.
Yeah,
I know. And then
racing games. Think about racing games. The first person to make like the big full-time racing game.
I know.
Like if you have a qualifying chair, you can like play at home.
Sure.
But like otherwise, you can go like people will have like
Yeah, that's actually
it's like
cool.
go-kart arenas, but it'll just be grids of chairs. And they'll shake and tilt. And
dude, it's insanely.
And you have a big fan in front of you, just blowing air on you. You just feel like you're going fucking 100 miles an hour.
Exactly. And it's so affordable, dude.
Yeah.
It's like going back to the whole roller coaster thing. You can either build one chair, which cost you probably 1,000th of the cost of doing the whole roller coaster, where you have to have the whole rig of the ride, you have to build the whole track,
and there are
all the safety mechanisms.
Exactly, there's way more safety liability issues with the roller coaster.
Is insane.
I mean, in my mind, I'm imagining just outdated amusement parks, except I feel like Disney's going to be the one that never gets touched
Disney's
and abolished
unique because they make so much money.
But it's going to like overgrown, and then you get this like cool like Call of Duty scene like battle. But that would be a cool spot too. You're just like playing virtual reality with guns in like this abandoned, Disney theme park. That's a cool
Disney
scene.
sues your ass with double-footed drop kick like right through the door. And
they don't fuck around, dude. I forget what it was. There was going to be some game or something where they tried to get. They wanted to make it Disneyland, like a decapitated, dilapidated Disneyland, but Disney obviously strips.
How much
they made something kind of ish.
How much of the park would you have to change before they can not sue you?
I don't know. It's probably written in the book somewhere.
Yeah, I bet it's a decent amount.
32%. 32%. And a judge deems. Yes, this is 32%.
Just put the D. What if you put the D backwards? You just do like a South Park.
Hey, if you get a liberal judge,
what's a backwards capital D?
Well, I guess it's a D. Fuck.
Have you heard that Bansky installation, Dismal Land? Have you heard of that one?
Dismal Land?
Yeah, it has the employees, like it's just a tiny little theme park, but the employees are like really like frumpy. They're like, welcome to Dismal Land. Come this way. And they're like rude. They're like,
all the roller coasters are really like jerky and uncomfortable.
They're just like art installations.
So I mean, it comes down to what are the challenges of getting us there, and obviously one of them is that this is so new that there's not many people developing yet, and the other challenge is wires and also the internet and all and graphics
tubes.
card, and all this stuff.
I think one of the big issues is we don't really have backpack or computers, and these things are heavy. You could do a backpack, and that's what the Void does, is these backpack PCs, but they're kind of heavy and they're kind of big, and you can't like even have a 980 Titan in one of those bad boys, so you can't have like a top of the line graphics card. If they can ever figure out like wireless, that'd solve so many issues
for sure.
For all that. Also, though, I think the headsets are gonna be weird for now, because when you go to like a bowling rink or you go to like a roller skating rink or something, and you have to like rent shoes. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird putting on these other people's shoes, and they spray them with that weird shit, you know. And so you're like, okay, I guess that stuff does something.
It helps.
Yeah,
It's like Febreze or something.
yeah.
It's like probably disinfectant. I hope.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that. Yeah,
I don't want I don't want AIDS inside my shoes. My bowling shoes.
they're shooting AIDS. But imagine that put on your face, though. You know. Like, it's just not a comfortable thought. I mean, having it in your house and having friends using it, totally not a big thing. You know, same, I guess your shoes would be similar. I mean, that's weird. Friends don't really share shoes, but you know what I'm saying? It's less weird, though, than if those were shoes that you just rent. And so with the face things, like I think people are going to eventually have headsets that they just carry around with them. And that's like everything. It's like their mobile headset.
Yeah.
And then they would go to these places and they would kind of like use their equipment to have the additional things.
Like,
so you would
plug into it or something.
Exactly. Like you bring your headset, plug into that motion simulator, and you're going for your ride, but you're using your own headset. I mean, maybe you can rent them, you know, but people would like, it's like rollerblades. Some people bring their own roller skates and rollerblades because they're cool kids, you know, but then like everybody else, the loser kids had to rent them, you know, those crappy brown ones.
No, it's true. I mean, it's not even here yet, you know, and there's still so much that has been done, you know, like all the demos and all the games, they're really fun, you know, they are really fun, and they're super simple. So just in due time, it's going to get intense real quick, you know?
Yeah, and VR is one of those unique things that like, it kind of had to be awesome before it could ever exist. Because otherwise it makes you sick, or it just doesn't feel good. It feels awkward.
Yeah.
So it's one of those weird things. Like the first generation of VR with the the motion controllers and the headset is really impressive. It's really
90% there was actually not good at all.
Exactly.
Like 90% of the way to VR was still pretty pretty much a headache, and was just overall kind of weird. It's still you can get excited off of it, but you immediately run into a wall.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay. I'm cool.
Like the DK2 was a decent headset, you know. I mean, it was like what 75 hertz or something, so it wasn't even 90 frames, which is what the consumer products will be, and it's just not the same. And that was like you're saying, almost like 90% almost of what was needed. Yeah. And it was good, and it showed you like how close we were. But once you got to that 100% rather, it clicked. You know, and it was just like, okay, this is awesome, but now it's good enough, which is a weird. You know, it's a weird situation to be in for a tech.
Yeah, now you have platforms backing it, like Steam, which really makes the difference.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
And therefore now you have developers just like putting serious time and effort into creating stuff because the money is on the table for them. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of developers originally didn't really like the whole idea of the room scale because it was such a change. I mean, honestly, like all their skills, all their knowledge, a lot of it had to be thrown out the window. Yeah. And so a lot of these developers instead, what they just made is the same types of games for a VR headset. Oh, I still think we're going to see a lot of that for the first generation. Absolutely. Games. Basically just like attempts to port what we used to know as games into the VR world. Exactly. And that's why I really do appreciate what Steam did and how they did such a strong push behind room scale. Because, I mean, they are a platform for selling traditional games, but they wanted to create this new platform for selling something that was completely different, you know? And I appreciate that because, you know, you can't even use, I mean, I don't even know if you could even use the Vive controllers to play a game like a side scroller very easily, you know? Like a VR side scroller, or, you know, one of those types of, not as motion controllers. I don't even know how hard it would be to use their controllers as a traditional controller. Yeah. I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be. It's already moving away from that direction. It's gonna, you know, like that wasn't like a thought too much on their part. It seems like they were really dedicated to like, look, these are new experiences that you're going to use these kick-ass hand controllers to play with. You're not going to be, you know, well, Lucky's Tale is a great example. I was trying not to bring up Lucky's Tale. Yeah, but that's really what it is. Hate on it too much. We might see a lot of these. We might not. I mean, it's weird. It's hard to think. I think we will see a lot, at least in a first gen. Like, I think so too. A first wave of them, because I think there's. I think maybe it does have potential to be cool, but the very fact that you're looking through eyes, like in the VR realm, you've got two eyes that work with your 3D vision. There's no way you can detach yourself from like being a real person that stands however tall you stand off the ground. It's really hard to disconnect yourself from that. Whereas previously in the screen world, just cuts and camera work, you know, you accept all of it. You're like, this is fine. and maybe we have to go through a transition, kind of like the camera world did, where it took people a while to get accustomed to camera movement and camera work, and they weren't just cool with it right out the bat when movies started.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be like us, right? We'll have to get a little bit. Maybe we'll be able to discover newer things.
Yeah, it'll start off soft and comfortable, and then slowly we'll start introducing new things.
Because for now, when you put a helmet, a head-mounted display on, you look through it like your eyes. It's like we only know what we're expecting.
Yeah,
everything else is weird at first. I don't, everything that's not like eyeballs of your own head.
Yeah, because like suddenly I'm in there and I'm supposed to be in there, and that's weird when it's not me who's in there. It's like I'm playing with this little third person, which I think we will get used to, and it will be cool. But like you're saying, I kind of right now it feels like I'm in there, and I'm supposed to be more than just a watcher, basically. Using a gamepad. It's a weird thing.
That game we were just looking at, where you kind of like control helicopters.
Final Approach.
Yeah. Yeah, it had a lot of potential, but a similar feeling too.
Yeah,
where I'm like, I could see the distance immediately of just like, okay.
And that's one of those things. Like I wouldn't be able to play it really. And enjoy it for long. It'd be, again, like VR is just gonna be cool anyways. And so I'd be like, "Ooh, look at this little mini city! Yay, I'm doing shit!" And then I'd be like, "All right, I want to go back to shooting zombies or something because I enjoy shooting zombies."
If you've got to play like a 10-minute demo, it would pretty much fill your.
Yeah, it's like when I demoed Lucky's Tale. Yeah. I demoed Lucky's Tale, and I was like, "All right, I'm done." Like 4 minutes in, and I was like, full. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I get it. And so I feel like Final Approach is kind of like that. But I think kids will like it a lot more.
You're immediately doing something familiar from the last generation of games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially Lucky's Tale, I think, is more guilty of that than Final Approach. But Final Approach has a lot of those game mechanics that are similar to, like, even mobile games where you're controlling traffic on a mobile game.
That's what it was weird.
But it's in a cool, 3D environment. But ultimately, the gameplay itself is from last gen.
Yeah.
Same as Lucky's Tale. So like you're saying, it was just so familiar. I was like, I've already done this. Yeah. I know that I haven't been in a virtual version of these old platformers, but I've done this, and that's why I'm excited to see the whole labs thing again that Steam has, because that isn't going to be a platformer. Yeah, it's not going to be something I've done before. Yeah. They're called VR experiments. That's what I actually want. It's weird. I see so many comments from people, and they really just want games. They're like, "Oh, I was hoping that Valve was going to release a game." Yeah. Like they always want these games, and their concept of a game is a console game or a traditional PC game.
Yeah.
They're not even giving it kind of a chance at being a new thing.
Which is funny because we want experience. Like, even though the mini golf game is a quote unquote game, but it's really an experience of you just being out there hitting a club.
I'll be straight honest. I probably won't play that mini golf game by myself.
Yeah.
Like I could imagine playing it like with you guys as like taking turns and stuff. Definitely. Or if I was online with multiple people with Vives, I could see playing that way. But I wouldn't go into this place because that's not really. It's more than that. It's an experience. It's like mini golf. I wouldn't go play mini golf by myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I love mini golf because I love the experience of mini golf.
Exactly.
And not because I love the game of mini golf.
Right.
I just picture you playing it by yourself.
That's so sad.
Like the whole place is empty. Like no one's there on a Saturday.
You keep hitting the same fucking windmill. Yeah. You're like, God damn it.
Oh my God. He really likes mini golf.
Yeah, mini golf's fun, man.
VR mini golf.
Now, maybe now I'll play it by myself, but I won't feel ashamed because no one will see me.
There's like share going on in his headphones or something. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Steve's broadcasting.
We walk in the room. He's got this VR helmet on, and it's like, is he putting or is he like peeing in the snow? Or is he just trying to line his putt?
Like, he's spelling his name.
Yeah,
that's what's going on.
That's gonna be my first. Yeah, that's gonna be my first VR game. It's piss brush.
It's an experience.
Yeah, all right, people. All right, it's art. Don't knock it. You're just closed-minded.
At the end, you can just like print out that photo. But yeah, it's all about the experience.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. I mean, people, I don't know. It's very interesting seeing this community kind of fracturing a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think games will continue. I'd like it to just like how books continued with movies. Like there'll be a lot of people who are like, VR experiences are cool, but I want to go back to my games. Like it doesn't replace farming in an RPG.
Yeah.
It doesn't replace leveling up your character.
Exactly.
Like I know that game companies are real thirsty to figure out how to get their properties into VR so you can farm in it. But and fine, let them do it. I don't care. But I think games actually, I have a harder time seeing that. I have a harder time understanding it. I get VR experiences. They work a little bit more like movies. It makes you a person in this thing. But I don't see how you're gonna play last generation games in VR. It's just an exhausting way to do what you want to do.
Yeah, it's because like when I play like Uncharted or something, like I never thought like I need more for this. This is what it is. It is just this game, and that's fine. I mean, now unfortunately I am a little bit turned off of games in general because of what VR has done, but I think there will always be people who do definitely love those because they were fun. They are fun.
Yeah.
A lot of these games are fun, but it's just I don't have an attachment to them. And for me, I guess for me actually, whenever I played Uncharted, I did think, God damn it, I wish this wasn't what it is. Like,
like a lot of quick time events where you're just pressing X and R.
Well, also I liked the cool story and I love the characters. I really love it. I think it's very compelling, the Uncharted series. But it was always like, game controls are a little funky.
Yeah.
It's like you want to run a direction, your character has to do this weird little movement to get going in that direction, and you're trying to like walk along edges, and it's third person game, so it's like I never feel like truly immersed in this world. I'm just trying to move this little tiny digital character, across these little platforms. But I love the story, but I always wanted to be in it. So I just didn't realize at the time, honestly, VR was so out of my mind since the 90s. Like when I found out that VR was a thing, I was like, holy shit, I forgot about VR. Like, that's awesome that it's here now. But
and you mentioned that third person thing. That's a big thing. Like in games today, you can fire it up and you can be the Hulk. You can be Superman. You can be some sexy Sailor Moon chick. You can be a tiny little dwarf or a centipede or a tank. Like you with VR, you're you.
Yeah,
you are you, and you can like
all you are is a pair of hands.
Right, you can be the Hulk, but it's not the same as running around with a controller, pressing X and R, and watching your characters slash and gash and backflip and cartwheel.
You're like, did you see how badass I looked?
Yeah.
But now you're like,
in VR, you're not going to be able to do the same thing. Assassin's Creed is never going to work in VR.
Exactly. Although I do want a kick-ass assassin's blade on my wrist, and I want to sneak around. I want to kill people with it.
Yeah, but the whole market of the whole thing that
Great
premise the whole premise that game is built upon is basically just button mashing while your character does amazing antics, and it's really cool to be affecting that, to be the one hitting those buttons and even watching it
in third person.
But in VR, how is that going to work? You're not going to be doing your own backflips. Are you going to accept being a spectator while you press button mash and watch? Maybe that's how it'll work. I don't know. I know
it's strange. You haven't really found out the perfect game for VR.
Yeah,
it's like it's a little bit beyond demos. Yet it's somewhere not quite Assassin's Creed. It's not that.
And the thing that I think is interesting, we don't even know right now yet.
Exactly. We just don't know.
You're going to jump off that cathedral and land in the hay in VR.
And then you feel all sick and you're going to like throw up.
Yeah, how does that work?
I mean, there are some movement things I've read, but the thing that's really interesting is that because I don't have a Vive, it's really interesting how, and I can tell the difference between people who have actually tried VR headsets and people who haven't. At least we demoed VR headsets. All of us here have tried the headsets, and so we know what it feels like. But some of these people have no idea, and they have opinions on things. It's crazy. Like I was watching, like they were making fun of they weren't making fun. They were giving hover junkers, for example, kind of a difficult time because the way the ships move when they hit each other, there's not like a whole bunch of physics going on. The ships aren't like crumpling and shaking, and it's like they're making a game and they have a bunch of headsets and they're working on it and they're thinking about comfort. So of course these things aren't going to have all this crazy artificial motion happening all the time because it can make you sick. But people want, because they see these videos on YouTube of people playing a VR game and they're comparing it to watching a video of Call of Duty. And Call of Duty looks so good on a flat monitor because that's what it's made for.
Right.
Hover junkers and also there are graphical limitations to VR right now.
There's a priority list
exactly.
for this first development cycle.
Absolutely.
If the same studio making Call of Duty was making a VR game, it would look a little better than what this first wave. But,
sure. Because obviously they're huge AAA studios.
But they're not jumping in. They're not jumping into it for now. They're not even paying attention because the amount of headsets that will be out in the first year is like a percentage of their amount of people that buy their game is like it's nothing. So they don't even care for now.
Yeah, honestly, aside from like the Oculus funded games, because Facebook's like money. Almost all of these games coming out first generation are made by small studios. And so we have to be realistic on our expectations as well, but also understand that like people who don't have a headset, and people who have never tried, or people who have only tried a couple times, really don't have the same grasp of all of what's necessary in a VR game, because you're not trying to make it look cool on a flat screen monitor. That's not what a VR. If you're making a VR game that looks cool on a flat screen monitor, you're doing something wrong. You should be focusing on how good it looks and how good it feels when you're actually in the experience. You know, so having these little moving vehicles and stuff that don't have all this huge amount of weight, tilting and stuff. Because honestly, if it's things tilting, your horizon line's gonna be messed up a little bit. And the whole point of having a flat platform is to avoid motion sickness. If you start shaking it, it can probably just make you feel sick. I mean, it's just like on a boat. You get sick. So it's just one of those things where it's people don't even know, but they have so many opinions already. It's crazy.
And that is crazy. Exactly. Like what I was just bringing up earlier. What are the challenges? Well, there's a bunch of challenges, but obviously the number one challenge is that this is in its infancy. It's been around, quote unquote, it's been around, but it was only a few years ago that it was just like a bunch of junk essentially that Palmer Luckey had in his garage, mashed together and had two eye sockets.
There was a small community of people who were interested in it.
But I mean, from that point to where we are now, we're not even close to where it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that technology grows so fast. And I wonder how long they're going to keep this generation of, this headset going until they want to pump out a new one. Because I bet by Christmas they could come out with a new headset, but I doubt they will. But I wonder how long they're going to keep it going until they think okay, we've made enough money, let's put out another one, Yeah,
and I think it's going to be they're going to consider the technological advancements and cost. Obviously,
a lot of things will go into it. Sales of the units, it'll be.
Imagine that in 6 months they come out with an insane new tech, right? Would they one announce it? Do you think that they would actually actually make number 2 so fast?
I can imagine
it's possible.
I can imagine the cycle's going a year usually, just because of. Yeah, I could just see them making it happen. Even if they figured it out in 6 months, they'll be they'll say in 6 months from now, we'll have this in the new thing.
You think they would wait?
But also, it depends on what kind of upgrades it is. If it's just a better screen, then they could just release a new one whenever they wanted. That's fine because it's not. But if you're all of a sudden going to try introducing hands into your tech,
gloves or something,
all of a sudden you need to give it to developers and be like, hey, start making content to use these hands, and the developers will start making that. And so I think honestly, by Christmas there might be new tech, there might be a new what they're planning for CV2. But I think it's more they might send out dev kits.
Okay.
I think this headset, I think if you buy a Vive or you buy the Oculus CV1, the Rift CV1, 2 years probably.
Yeah, I could see them just polishing them for 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe in a year they might polish it up, but it'd be the same thing just with just some polished stuff. I don't know. Yeah. For about 2 years before they really amount to
it's kind of when a console comes out. It lasts for a while, but they'll release a new version, one that's maybe a little smaller, a little sleeker, things like that. Yeah, so I can see that. But I mean, I'm all for eye tracking, hand tracking, that kind of stuff. I'm really excited about. I saw a video of someone who was using Leap Motion, and I'm not a super huge fan of Leap Motion right now, because obviously you can only see your hands when they're right in front of you. But it was really cool because he combined Vive with it, and so he could see his hands, and then he could see his hands holding controllers. And so he would let go of the controller would dangle, and you'd see his hands up here still with the controller. And so it was a nice little addition. Of course, if he moved his hands down, it was only left to the controllers to be tracked because the Leap Motion couldn't see it anymore. But it was a nice little taste of kind of how Leap Motion actually could work. It just wouldn't be 100%.
Yeah.
You know, because the controllers will still be required for true accuracy of all location, but for right in front of you, your hands would show up, and that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, we're getting Phil's gonna get his Vive come April, and
I got my pre-order in, so I got my 7:02 a.m.
Bam.
Western time, Pacific time. That's the word I'm looking for.
PST.
Yeah.
AD.
Yeah. AD. So I'm pretty excited about that. So hopefully I'm the first wave.
Yeah. We hope to post some videos, and we'll finally do.
Yeah, we'll share all of our
literally videos, not just audios.
That's right. So, all right, take it easy, everybody.
All right. Peace.